Here's one of life's most fascinating truths. If you hand $1 million to someone with a poverty mindset, it won't take long before that money is gone. It's almost like the universe has a law. Wealth without wisdom will find its way back to the source. Because money is not just paper, it's a reflection of behavior. And behavior is born from thinking. But here's the part that stirs the soul. If you take away all the money from someone with a wealthy mindset, if you strip them down to zero, they'll build it back again. And not by luck, not by chance, but by design. Because wealth is not something you hold in your hands, it's something you carry in your mind. It's a pattern of thinking. It's a way of viewing life. It's a code you unlock, and once you've got it, no one can take it away from you, not even life itself. So, today, let's talk about unlocking that code. The mental code the rich have already cracked. We're going to look at the philosophies, the disciplines, the subtle shifts in mindset that separate struggle from prosperity, survival from abundance. And by the end of our time together, you'll have a clearer picture of why wealth isn't something you chase. It's something you attract by the person you become. Let's begin. It's an interesting thing, money isn't just paper in your wallet or numbers in a bank account. It's not just gold, silver, or digital code. Money is first and foremost an idea. It's a reflection of how you think, how you feel, and how you act. Your philosophy about money shapes your entire financial life. And here's the truth. If you change the way you think about money, you'll change the way money flows into your life. Most people grow up with the wrong ideas about wealth. They're taught to fear it, to chase it desperately, or worse, to misuse it the moment it arrives. Some were raised to think money is evil. Others believe there's never enough of it. Some think rich people are lucky, or greedy, or somehow different from the rest of us. But none of that is true. What's true is this. The wealthy think about money differently. They don't fear it, and they don't worship it. They see it for what it really is, a tool. A tool for freedom, for contribution, for expansion. It's not the goal, it's the helper. When I was in my early years, I was broke not because of a lack of money, but because of a lack of thinking. I used to wonder why people with the same opportunities ended up in such different places financially. Some made millions while others struggled paycheck to paycheck. And I realized it wasn't about the opportunities, it was about the mindset. The wealthy trained themselves to handle money wisely, while the broke often mishandled it or let it control them. If you give $1 million to someone with poor thinking, the money will usually disappear. Why? Because the habits and beliefs that created poverty will continue no matter the bank balance. But take away all the money from someone with wealthy thinking, and guess what? They'll rebuild it. They'll find a way back to prosperity because they've trained their mind to see money as something they can manage, multiply, and use, and not something that controls or frightens them. So if you want to change your financial life, start by changing your philosophy about money. See it as a faithful servant, not a master. Use it. Don't let it use you. Think of money as a seed it's meant to be planted, nurtured, and multiplied. Not just spent, not just hoarded, but grown into something that serves you and the people you care about. From this day forward, make a decision. Tell yourself, I'm going to master my money mindset. I'll learn the skills. I'll read the books. I'll have the conversations. I'll train my thinking so well that when money comes, I'll handle it wisely. And when it's not there yet, I'll still think abundantly, act wisely, and stay patient. Because wealth doesn't start in the wallet, it starts in the mind. One of the most fundamental principles of wealth building is learning to control the flow of your money. It's not just about making more, it's about keeping more, managing more, and directing it with intention. Most people focus all their energy on increasing their income. They chase promotions, start side businesses, look for the next big break. But here's the catch. If you don't manage the money you already have, more of it won't solve the problem. In fact, it usually makes it worse. If you're careless with $1,000, you'll be reckless with $10,000. If you're reckless with $10,000, you'll be dangerous with $100,000. The amount doesn't fix the behavior fixes the amount. I learned this the hard way early in my career. I started making more money. And like many people, I thought the solution to every problem was just to earn more. But what happened? My spending increased right along with my income. I had more checks coming in, but I still had too many months left at the end of the money. That's when a mentor sat me down and taught me a lesson that changed everything. He said, "You've got to become the master of the flow. Watch what comes in, but pay close attention to what goes out." Most people don't realize this, but money is like water. It needs direction or it will just leak away. If you don't track it, it evaporates into small, unconscious decisions. A cup of coffee here, a gadget there, subscriptions you forgot you had, little expenses that multiply silently until suddenly the river has dried up and you're left wondering where it all went. Awareness precedes control. You can't change what you don't track. The wealthy treat money like a steward manages a garden. They know exactly where every dollar is planted, how it's growing, and when it needs pruning. They have systems. They review their finances weekly, sometimes daily. They categorize their spending, automate their savings, and direct their investments intentionally. Every dollar has a job. Some dollars are sent to work, others are kept for emergencies, and some are set aside for giving, but none are left idle. When I started practicing this, my financial life changed. I didn't just feel better because I was earning more. I felt better because I was finally in control. There's a certain peace that comes when you know where your money is going. It's not about being stingy, it's about being strategic. I still enjoyed life, but I learned to enjoy it within a framework that kept me growing, not just spending. So here's the simple practice. Track every dollar, make it a game, know exactly what comes in and exactly what goes out. You don't have to obsess, but you do have to pay attention. Awareness is the first step toward mastery. And once you gain mastery over the flow of money, you'll realize that true wealth isn't just in the earning, it's in the managing. Because the money you keep and multiply is far more valuable than the money you merely make. One of the most important lessons in the journey to wealth is learning the difference between good debt and bad debt. And if you don't get this distinction right, it will cost you not just in dollars, but in years of wasted effort. You see, the poor get trapped in debt that drains them. The wealthy, on the other hand, use debt to multiply their resources. It's not that rich people avoid debt altogether, they just use it wisely. They understand that some debts pay you back, while others slowly bleed you dry. Let me tell you a story from my early years when I didn't know this difference. Back then, if I wanted something and didn't have the cash, I'd just reach for the credit card. New car? Swipe the card. Fancy clothes? Swipe the card. Nights out? Swipe the card. I thought that's what successful people did. They lived well. But what I didn't realize was that I was digging a hole so deep it would take me years to climb out. Those were liabilities. Things that took money out of my pocket every month but never put a dime back in. Then one day, I met a man who had what I wanted: wealth, freedom, peace of mind. And he asked me a question that stopped me in my tracks. He said, "Are you buying things that feed you or things that eat you?" I had to think about that. But it became clear pretty quickly I was feeding my lifestyle, but I wasn't feeding my future. That's when I learned about good debt versus bad debt. Bad debt is when you borrow to consume. You're using someone else's money to buy things that depreciate, things that vanish, things that keep you trapped in the cycle of work and payment. Car payments, credit card balances for luxury goods, unnecessary upgrades. Those are examples of bad debt. They might feel good in the moment, but they leave you with regret in the long run. Good debt, though, is a different story. Good debt is when you borrow to invest in assets that grow, in things that produce income. Buying a rental property that pays you rent every month, that's good debt. Investing in a business that provides cash flow, that's good debt. Even using a loan to learn new skills that increase your earning capacity can be a form of good debt as long as it creates a return. The key is simple. If the debt makes you money or increases your long-term value, it's worth considering. If it just makes you look good or feel good temporarily, it's usually a trap. Now, I'm not saying to run out and borrow money tomorrow. No, you have to be smart about it. You have to study the terms. You have to know the risks. And you have to have a plan to make the debt work for you, not against you. But don't fear debt. Just learn how to use it wisely. Some of the wealthiest people in the world built their fortunes by leveraging good debt to scale their investments. When I applied this lesson, my life changed. I stopped borrowing for things I didn't need, and I started focusing on assets. Slowly but surely, the passive income started to grow. The stress started to shrink. And for the first time, I felt like I was building something that would last. So remember, the goal isn't to avoid all debt. The goal is to master the distinction between what costs you and what pays you back. Because when you get this right, debt becomes a tool for building, not a weight that holds you down. One of the greatest shifts you can make in your financial life is learning to believe in abundance instead of scarcity. You see, most people grow up with what I call a scarcity mindset. They think there's only so much money to go around, only so many opportunities, only so much success available. And because they believe in scarcity, they act out of fear. They hoard, they compete in unhealthy ways, and they shrink their dreams to fit what they think is possible. But the wealthy, they don't operate that way. The wealthy understand that wealth is not a pie where someone else's slice makes yours smaller. No, wealth is something you create, not something you take away from someone else. I remember early in my career, I had this mindset tooth, the idea that if someone else was successful, it somehow meant less for me. If another speaker got the gig, if another entrepreneur closed the sale, I felt like I lost. But then a mentor of mine said, "Why don't you plant your own orchard instead of trying to steal someone else's apple?" That changed my thinking forever. Because I realized wealth isn't about getting lucky or grabbing what's left before it runs out. It's about planting seeds, watering them, and allowing growth to happen again and again. Creation, not competition, that's the key. And when you believe in abundance, it changes how you behave. You stop trying to cut corners, you stop worrying about what other people are earning, and you focus instead on expanding your own capacity. If someone else makes $1 million, you don't get jealous, you get curious. How did they do it? What can I learn? How can I grow too? That's an abundance of thinking. It leads to collaboration, innovation, and confidence. It leads to a mindset where you're always looking for ways to create value rather than just capture it. I'll give you a simple example. Let's say you're in business. If you believe in scarcity, you'll fear your competitors. You'll try to undercut them, hide your strategies, and protect your tiny corner of the market. But if you believe in abundance, you'll look for partnerships, you'll innovate new products, and you'll find ways to serve people so well that there's always room for you in the marketplace. The world is not running out of customers, it's running out of people who serve them well. Even in your personal life, this principle applies. Scarcity thinking causes people to be stingy with their time, their money, their attention. They're afraid to give because they think they'll run out. But the truth is, the more you give wisely, the more you often receive. I've seen this happen repeatedly. When you give value, when you share ideas, when you help others grow, somehow opportunities find their way back to you. It's like planting in a field. It always gives back a bigger harvest. So start training your mind to think in abundance. Every time you catch yourself saying, "I can't afford that," change the sentence to, "How can I afford that?" Every time you think, "There aren't enough opportunities," replace it with, "How can I create new ones?" Wealthy people ask better questions, and those questions open the door to more. This isn't just about positive thinking, it's about creative thinking. Abundance isn't magic, it's a decision. It's the decision to believe there's more wealth to create, more problems to solve, and more lives to touch. When you shift from scarcity to abundance, you stop worrying about who's getting what, and you start building something of your own that nobody can take away. One of the greatest barriers to wealth is not the economy, not your job, not the market. It's the silent conversation happening in your own mind. If deep down you believe that money is evil, that rich people are selfish, or that wealth corrupts, you'll push money away even while you're saying you want more of it. And here's the tricky part. Most people don't even realize they're doing it. They set financial goals on paper but sabotage themselves in action because they haven't cleared up their internal beliefs about wealth. I've met people who worked hard, saved diligently, and started earning well, but the moment their bank account crossed a certain threshold, they started to feel uncomfortable. They'd find a way to spend it quickly, lose it in a bad investment, or give it away irresponsibly, not because they were generous, but because they felt guilty holding on to it. Somewhere in their upbringing, they heard phrases like, money changes people, or rich people are greedy. And those ideas took root. So when wealth finally arrived, they didn't celebrate, they subconsciously rejected it. Now, think about this. If you had a friend you secretly disliked or mistrusted, would you invite that friend over often? Of course not. The same is true with money. If you hold negative beliefs about it, you'll never feel at ease when it's in your life. You might attract some wealth temporarily, but you won't keep it. That's why it's so important to get comfortable with wealth, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. You have to believe that having money is not only acceptable, it's desirable if it's in the hands of good people like you who will use it wisely. Money is a tool. It's not good or bad by itself, it simply amplifies the person who holds it. If you're kind, generous, and disciplined, more money allows you to do more good, not less. You can help more people, solve bigger problems, and live life with more freedom. But if you believe money corrupts, you'll block the very thing that could allow you to make the impact you've dreamed about. I remember when I first started making good money. It felt strange at first. I grew up modest, so the idea of flying first class or staying in a nice hotel made me a little uneasy. But then a mentor reminded me, if you're doing the work, providing the value, and helping people grow, why wouldn't you enjoy the rewards of that effort? And that made sense. It wasn't about extravagance, it was about alignment. Wealth earned honestly and handled wisely is not something to fear, it's something to steward. So, if you find yourself feeling resistance to wealth, take a moment to ask where that belief came from. Was it from a parent, a teacher, a book, or a movie? Did someone plant the seed that money is dangerous, or that rich people are villains? If so, it's time to rewire that thinking. Replace those old ideas with new ones. Money is a magnifier. It makes you more of who you already are. If you're a good person now, wealth will help you do more good, not less. Practice seeing yourself as someone who can handle wealth gracefully. Picture yourself managing larger amounts of money with wisdom and generosity. Imagine earning more, saving more, giving more, and using it all to build something meaningful. The goal is not just to make money, it's to become the kind of person who can be trusted with it. Because once you get comfortable with wealth on the inside, you'll find it much easier to attract and keep it on the outside. When I first started on my journey, I quickly realized that working hard for a paycheck was only part of the equation. You see, earning money is important, but if all you ever do is trade your time for dollars, you'll never truly escape the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle. The moment you stop working, the income stops as well. That's why the wealthy don't just focus on income, they focus on owning assets that generate income for them even when they're not actively working. Think of it like planting seeds in a garden. Working a job is like going out every day to water a single plant. If you miss a day, the plant withers. But owning assets is like planting a tree once it takes root. It grows and bears fruit year after year with much less daily effort. The key is to invest your time and money into things that create cash flow, that pay you back over and over again. This means buying stocks that pay dividends, investing in rental properties that bring in monthly rent checks, creating intellectual property like books or courses that generate royalties, or owning a business that others help run for you. These assets become your money machines, working for you while you sleep, travel, or spend time with loved ones. It's not about doing less work. It's about shifting from labor to leverage. I remember early on, I was so focused on increasing my hourly wage, I never stopped thinking about ownership. One day a mentor told me, "Don't just earn a living, build a legacy." That idea stuck with me. I began setting aside part of my income each month to buy small shares of companies or to invest in projects that didn't require my daily attention. Over time, those investments grew, producing income I didn't have to sweat for each day. Owning assets gives you freedom. It means your money isn't tied to the hours you work. Instead, your money works for you. And freedom, my friend, is the true currency of wealth. It allows you to make choices not out of desperation, but out of abundance. The habit to develop here is simple but powerful. Don't just chase a bigger paycheck, chase ownership. Whenever you receive money, ask yourself, how can I put some of this toward buying assets that will pay me back? Even if it's small, the habit of acquiring assets is what separates the wealthy from those who merely survive. Remember, assets build net worth, and net worth builds freedom. Focus your energy not just on earning, but on owning and watching how your financial life transforms. I want to share something that's been a cornerstone in the journey toward lasting wealth. Making decisions with logic instead of emotion. You see, the market doesn't care how you feel, and neither do the realities of financial growth. Yet, too often, people lose their hard-earned money because they let emotions drive their choices. When fear hits, it whispers, "Sell now, or you'll lose everything." When excitement rises, it shouts, "Buy that shiny new thing before it's gone." But wealth doesn't grow from panic, or impulse sight grows from calm, calculated moves. The difference between the wealthy and the rest is the ability to pause, breathe, and analyze before acting. I recall a time when a market downturn sent shockwaves through many investors. The temptation was to sell everything and cut losses. But I learned to step back, look at the facts, and ask myself, is this a moment to act or to wait? What's the strategy here? That pause saved me from making a costly mistake. It's a simple rule that's often overlooked. When emotions rise, slow down. Develop the habit of the 24-hour rule. When faced with any major financial decision, whether it's investing, spending, or selling sleep on it, give your mind the chance to shift from emotional reaction to clear logic. Ask yourself, what's the wise move here? Am I reacting to fear or excitement, or am I acting with purpose? Logic is a muscle. It grows stronger with practice. The wealthy don't make perfect decisions every time, but they build the discipline to separate feelings from facts. When your mind leads and your emotions follow, your financial path becomes steadier and more reliable. This approach doesn't just protect your money, it protects your peace of mind. Because when you're calm and clear-headed, you make decisions that support your long-term vision rather than sabotage it in moments of stress. So the lesson is this: your emotions are powerful, but your logic must be stronger. Train yourself to think before you act, and watch how your wealth begins to grow, not just in numbers, but in confidence and security. There's a profound difference between thinking in days and thinking in years. The person who focuses only on the next paycheck often finds themselves trapped in a cycle, always chasing immediate needs, always reacting to the moment, never truly building lasting wealth. But the wealthy mind sees beyond today, beyond this month, beyond the noise of short-term distractions. They think in 5, 10, even 20 years. This kind of long-term thinking isn't just about patience, it's about perspective. It protects you from the traps that pull many into financial hardship, impulsive spending, chasing trends, or panic selling during market dips. When you anchor your decisions in years, you build a foundation that can weather storms and grow steadily. I remember early in my journey, when I faced tough choices about money, the temptation was always to take quick win stows, spend on something flashy, or pull out of an investment when the market wobbled. But the lesson came from committing to a vision decade ahead. I started asking myself, quote, where do I want to be in 10 years? What steps do I need to take today to get there? That shift changed everything. Thinking in years turns everyday decisions into building blocks. Every dollar saved, every investment made, every new skill learned is a seed planted for a future harvest. And when setbacks come and they will, you don't panic because your eyes are on the horizon, not the moment. Long-term thinking also demands discipline. It means delaying gratification, saying no to instant pleasures, and focusing on actions that multiply value over time. It's the mindset that transforms ordinary choices into extraordinary outcomes. So if you want to break free from the chains of short-term struggle, start training your mind to live in years, not days. Plan for the decades ahead, act with patience and purpose, and you'll find your wealth growing deeper, roots strong enough to support the life you dream of. There's an old saying that your most valuable asset isn't your car, your home, or your portfolio, it's your own mind. Investing in yourself is the surest path to lasting wealth, because the skills and knowledge you acquire compound over time in ways that money alone never can. When you improve your ability, your capacity, your understanding, your income naturally follows. I've seen this firsthand in my own life. When I started, I wasn't born with wealth or privilege. What I had was a hunger to learn and grow. I invested countless hours reading books, attending seminars, and seeking mentors. Every new skill I mastered opened doors that were previously closed. It wasn't magic. It was the result of investing in myself before expecting anything from the outside world. Think about it. When you learn how to negotiate better, manage money smarter, or understand investments more deeply, you give yourself tools that can be used over and over again. Skills don't depreciate, they appreciate. The more you learn, the more valuable you become, and the more opportunities come your way. This is why the wealthy prioritize education and self-improvement above all else. They don't wait for someone else to hand them a break. They create their own by becoming better. This investment requires discipline, time, and sometimes sacrifice. But the returns are incredible. Imagine treating your time like money, putting aside an hour each day to learn something new related to your field, your finances, or your personal growth. Over months and years, that commitment transforms your earning potential and your confidence. When you invest in yourself first, money is no longer just a fleeting resource. It becomes a reflection of your growth and your value. Your mind becomes a powerful engine driving your wealth forward. So, start today by committing to learn, to grow, and to master new skills. This is the foundation on which wealth is built, and it's one asset no one can ever take away from you. Wealth isn't just about how much you make, it's just as much about how much you keep. You can earn a fortune, but one bad decision, one unforeseen event, or one moment of neglect can wipe it all away. That's why protecting your downside is the silent foundation of lasting financial success. I remember early in my journey, I learned a hard lesson about defense. It wasn't the grand investments or big wins that made the difference. It was the simple act of guarding against losses. When you think about building wealth, it's tempting to focus only on a fence how to make more money faster. But wisdom tells us that defense, the ability to protect what you've earned, is equally vital. Insurance is one of the most basic tools in this protection. Whether it's health, property, or liability insurance, these instruments shield you from the unpredictable storms of life. They cost money, yes, but think of them as the price of peace of mind. Without them, a single disaster can drain your resources and force you back to square one. Diversification is another cornerstone. Putting all your eggs in one basket is an invitation for catastrophe. Spread your investments across different asset stocks, real estate, businesses, so when one falters, others can hold the line. This balance reduces risk and provides stability. And don't underestimate the power of an emergency fund, a simple savings buffer to cover unexpected expenses. Life is full of surprises, and having cash set aside means you won't have to sell investments at a loss or go into debt when the unexpected strikes. I've seen many people make great money but lose it all by ignoring these basics. Building wealth is like constructing a fortress. Offense wins battles, but defense wins wars. Guard your assets with the same intensity you seek to grow them. Remember, wealth isn't just about making more, it's about not losing what you have. When you protect the downside, you create a strong foundation that allows your fortune to grow steadily and securely. So, build your fortress of financial defense today. Get the right insurance, diversify wisely, and maintain an emergency fund. This is the quiet strength behind every lasting fortune. When it comes to building lasting wealth, relying on willpower alone is like trying to hold back a river with your bare hands. It simply won't last. The secret that many rich people understand is this: they don't depend on motivation or discipline alone. They build systems that work for them, making wealth creation almost automatic. I've learned over the years that our habits, our routines, and our environments are what truly shape our financial destiny. It's not about forcing yourself to save every month or make that investment decision each time you're feeling motivated. That kind of energy is fleeting. Instead, the wealthy set up processes that take the decision out of their hand systems that work, whether they feel inspired or not. Automate your savings, so the moment your paycheck lands, a portion of it automatically moves into your savings or investment accounts. Automate bill payments so you avoid late fees and penalties. Use apps or tools to track your spending and keep your budget on point without needing constant attention. These systems reduce mental clutter and keep your money working for you quietly and efficiently. I remember when I first automated my investments. It was freeing to know that regardless of how busy my day became, I was steadily building wealth. The small, consistent contributions added up over time into something powerful. The same goes for any successful millionaire I've known. Systems create momentum. This approach doesn't just ease stress. It creates consistency, which is the bedrock of wealth. When you remove the daily struggle of willpower and replace it with reliable systems, you're free to focus your energy on bigger opportunities, better decisions, and growth. So, don't wait for motivation or the right mood to manage your money. Build systems that automatically save, invest, and budget for you. This shift from stress to system turns wealth building from a chore into a natural, unstoppable force. Start today by automating one financial habit, then add another. Over time, these systems will carry you further than any fleeting burst of willpower ever could. Patience is one of the greatest virtues and one of the most overlooked keys to wealth. The common mistake many make is chasing quick wins, expecting rapid returns, or hoping for overnight success. But real wealth is rarely instantaneous. It's the result of steady, patient effort that compounds over time, quietly building something far greater than any momentary gain. Compounding is not just a financial concept, it's a principle that applies to every area of life. Whether it's investing money, nurturing relationships, or developing skills, the results multiply when you give them time and consistent care. Wealth built through compounding doesn't just add up, it grows exponentially. It's the difference between planting a seed and watching a tree grow tall enough to shade a whole neighborhood. When I started my own journey, I was eager for fast results, but I quickly learned that patience was more valuable than speed. I saw people around me rushing in to get-rich-quick schemes, and more often than not, they lost what little they had. Meanwhile, those who committed to steady saving, learning, and investing year after year quietly built fortunes that lasted. This mindset of patience applies to personal growth as well. Each book you read, every new skill you master, and each positive habit you develop compounds over years to create a stronger, wiser, and more capable you. The wealthy understand this and resist the temptation to jump from one shiny opportunity to the next. They stay the course, knowing that time is their ally. So, instead of seeking immediate gratification, embrace the process. Trust that your small, consistent efforts, whether in financial decisions, relationships, or self-improvement, to planting seeds for a future harvest. This is the mental code that unlocks true wealth: patience, persistence, and faith in the power of compounding. Remember, the tree that bears the sweetest fruit is the one that has grown slow and steady through the seasons. Wealth, like that tree, is cultivated over time, with patience as its silent, steady hand guiding it to greatness. Money, when viewed as a seed rather than a reward, transforms your entire approach to wealth. Most people look at money as something to be enjoyed immediately, paycheck to spend, a bonus to splurge on comforts or desires. But the wealthy see money differently. They understand that every dollar is an opportunity, a seed that, when planted wisely, can grow into a forest of financial security and freedom. I've witnessed this shift many times. Early in my own journey, I remember the temptation to celebrate every financial gain with a reward, buying a new gadget, dining out lavishly, or upgrading my lifestyle prematurely. But these fleeting pleasures didn't build wealth, they merely drained it. The turning point came when I began to see money as something to invest in myself and in opportunities that could multiply that initial amount. Planting money means directing it toward assets, whether it's stocks, real estate, education, or a business venture that have the potential to grow and generate income long after the initial investment. It means delaying gratification and understanding that true wealth isn't about instant enjoyment, but about creating a future where money works for you. Think about a seed in nature. You don't eat the seed. You plant it, nurture it, and wait patiently for it to grow into a tree that bears fruit year after year. Your money, when planted thoughtfully, behaves the same way. Instead of spending your money on things that lose value or provide temporary pleasure, invest it in ventures that grow, multiply, and eventually provide ongoing rewards. This mindset shift isn't easy because it requires discipline and a long-term view. It demands resisting the temptation to treat money as a reward and instead using it as a tool to build a foundation. But once you embrace this idea, you unlock a powerful cycle of wealth creation. Each dollar planted can yield more dollars, which can be replanted again and again, creating a self-sustaining flow of financial abundance. Remember, wealth isn't about how much you make today. It's about how much you keep and how wisely you use it to grow. When you start seeing money as a seed, your financial decisions become intentional. You become a gardener of your own prosperity, planting the right seeds that will blossom into a legacy you can be proud of. So ask yourself, how am I planting my money today? Am I spending it as a reward, or am I investing it as a seed for a richer tomorrow? This simple shift in thinking can change the course of your financial life forever. Wealth is not simply the accumulation of dollars. It is the art of contribution, the rhythm of giving that keeps the flow of abundance alive. Many believe that holding tightly to what they have will make them richer, but the truth is quite the opposite. The wealthy understand that generosity is a powerful engine for continued prosperity. Giving isn't about charity alone. It's a strategic part of wealth, building, a vital practice that connects you to something greater than yourself and opens the door for money to circulate back into your life in unexpected ways. In my own experience, I've seen how giving transforms the mindset from scarcity to abundance. Early on, I was hesitant to part with my money, fearing loss. But as I began to give, whether time, resources, or knowledge, I noticed a remarkable shift. Giving made me feel richer, not poorer. It created a sense of purpose and connected me to others in ways that multiplied opportunities and goodwill. When you make giving a regular part of your financial plan, you reinforce a powerful mental habit. You teach yourself that wealth is not finite. It is renewable and expansive. This mindset encourages you to take risks, invest wisely, and pursue growth because you know your abundance will never be depleted by generosity. It only grows stronger. Strategic giving also builds relationships, networks, and goodwill, which are invaluable assets in the journey to lasting wealth. When you help others succeed, you create a community that supports your own success. Giving can take many forms. Donating to causes you believe in, mentoring someone hungry for knowledge, or sharing your time and expertise. The rich don't give reluctantly or only when it's convenient. They make giving intentional, built into their wealth plan, just like saving or investing. It becomes disciplined practice, a daily or monthly habit that keeps their hearts and minds aligned with the flow of abundance. Remember, money is energy. When you hold it too tightly, it stagnates. When you give, you set it in motion, creating momentum that attracts more. Giving also grounds your wealth in meaning, ensuring that your riches serve not just your comfort, but your higher purpose. So, if you want to unlock the full power of wealth, Start by making giving a cornerstone of your financial life. Give thoughtfully, give generously, and give consistently. In doing so, you will not only enrich others, but will invite prosperity to flow freely and endlessly back into your own life. Wealth begins not just with dreams or intentions, but with clear, measurable progress. If you want to grow financially, you must track your progress relentlessly. What gets measured improves. This is a fundamental truth often overlooked by those who struggle with money. The wealthy understand that guessing or hoping won't build fortunes only, disciplined measurement and review will. In my own journey, I learned early that numbers don't lie. You can't manage what you don't measure. Every month, I would sit down and review my net worth, not just the dollars in the bank, but all assets minus liabilities. This gave me a clear picture of where I stood and what actions were moving me forward or holding me back. It's easy to feel like you're making progress when you're busy, but without measurement, that feeling can be deceiving. Tracking progress also means reviewing your savings rate, investments, and even expenses with honesty and rigor. This habit reveals patterns, good and bad, that you might otherwise miss. It shines a light on financial leaks so you can plug them. It also highlights wins, motivating you to keep going. The act of tracking creates accountability. When you see your progress on paper, it fuels confidence and discipline. It transforms abstract goals into tangible results. You begin to make smarter choices because you understand their impact. Don't let your financial future be left to chance. Track diligently. Review monthly. Adjust with intention. Wealth is a journey of consistent small wins, and tracking is the compass that guides you steadily forward. As we close, remember this: wealth isn't a distant dream. It is the result of daily choices grounded in discipline, clarity, and purposeful action. Your financial future is shaped by how well you measure, manage, and move forward today. Tracking your progress is not just about numbers. It's about taking control of your life and refusing to leave your success to chance.